In the 1970s, there was a boom of African-American comic book heroes, like Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, and Blade. DC wanted to get in on some of the action. They came up with the idea of the Black Bomber, a bigoted white man who turned into a superpowered African-American when under intense stress. Yeah.
Thankfully, before any of that could be put into motion, former Luke Cage writer Tony Isabella pitched a new idea in the form of Jefferson Pierce, an inner-city school teacher who acquired electricity manipulation powers via a specially designed belt. Thus, Black Lightning was born. Black Lightning would debut to much fanfare in his own title in 1977. Isabella would script the first 10 issues before passing the baton over to Denny O'Neil. Black Lightning would focus on inner-city social issues such as the burgeoning gang activity in the suicide slum section of Metropolis. He would even go as far as to turn down an opportunity to join the Justice League of America.
And then a wrinkle popped up in the form of a massive blizzard which struck the northeastern United States and caused many of the print shops and distribution centers to be shut down, and well, a lot of DC's titles got massively delayed, and eventually it was decided to just cancel all of them, including Black Lightning. Still, the character proved popular enough that it was thought he could be drafted into the massively popular Super Friends team at the time. Unfortunately, a disagreement with Isabella, artist Trevor Von Eaton, and DC over royalty payments resulted in the character being dropped and replaced by the similarly powered Black Vulcan.
Supervolt.
I'm sorry, I meant Supervolt.
Still, DC continued using Black Lightning throughout the 80s, most notably in a Batman-led super team called the Outsiders. It would even be revealed that Pierce was actually a metahuman, meaning his powers were actually naturally occurring, and that his belt merely just focused them. He would even go on to become Secretary of Education under President Lex Luthor, hoping to heal the system from within.
In 2009, Black Lightning would get a retelling of his early days in the form of a 6-issue bi-weekly miniseries. And that's what we're looking at today. This is Black Lightning Year 1.
Jefferson Pierce arrives in the Southside District of Metropolis, otherwise known as the Suicide Slum. He's brought his wife Lynn and his daughter Anissa back to his childhood home, though the place doesn't hold many fond memories for him. When Jeff was a child, his journalist father Alvin was killed by a corrupt business mogul turned even more corrupt local politician named Tobias Whale over the exposure of a scam involving an arena for Metropolis's NBA team, which is now located in Star City. Still, when the Wayne Foundation's Urban Renewal Initiative offered Jefferson the chance to return to his old high school, Garfield High, he saw it as an opportunity to do things right and provide an inspiration to others. The Pierces arrive at Jefferson's childhood home where his mother Leona, sister Connie, and Connie's two children, Joanna and Alvin, are preparing to move to Chicago in the wake of Connie's divorce to a man named Frank Tanner. Jefferson is aghast when he sees Joanna produce a gun to ward off a few thugs harassing her. Joanna and Connie point out that the neighborhood is less safe now than it was when Jefferson left. Heck, the main reason Connie is getting divorced is because she found out that Frank had been secretly working for Tobias Whale and his new gang, the 100.
Wait, so Suicide Slum is being terrorized by a group of horny teenage delinquents who are set to repopulate a post-apocalyptic Earth?
During a quiet moment in the debate, Lynn and Connie slip away where Lynn asks Jefferson's sister if he ever shocked her. Lynn says no, pointing out that her brother is the dullest dullard out of all of Dullsville. But that's not exactly what Lynn's talking about, as that night, Jefferson begins having a nightmare, and suddenly several electrical products begin shorting out. The next day, the movie is interrupted by two delinquents named Earl and Greer who take off with 2 boxes of kitchenware. Jeff takes off in pursuit with the 2 thieves deciding to split up to try to give him the slip. It doesn't work as Jefferson catches Greer and stuffs him into the ticket booth of an abandoned movie theater, and he confronts Earl. If Earl is popular as he says he is, then he should be able to spread the word that things are going to change. Talking with Jeff managed to get Earl to give up the goods, literally, and Jefferson goes on to contact an old family friend named Peter Gamby.
Peter Gamby is a tailor based out of the Suicide Slum of Metropolis who was a friend of the late Alvin Pierce and became a father figure to Jefferson as he grew up, even being in on the youngster's burgeoning electrical abilities.
Peter tips Jeff off to the 100. They're not your typical street gang. They've worked their way into the protection utilities racket. The 100ers also managed to cut off money to many first response services, and they can't get anything from the rest of Metropolis to come through here. Someone needs to stop them, someone like Jeff, and not just through education. Peter reminds Jeff of a quote from Milo Sweetman that his father Alvin used to live by.
Justice, like lightning, should ever appear to some men hope, to other men fear.
Jefferson remains skeptical as he prepares for his first day at school. It doesn't help that Greer, along with several other members of the 100, coated the place with gasoline on the intention of burning it down. Pierce managed to talk Earl into leading several others to safety while he pulls the fire alarm. Believing the alarm to just be a prank, the underfunded fire department takes its sweet time, resulting in major damage being wrought to the school. Pierce says the classes will still be held in the gym, and anyone who wishes to attend can. Anyone who wants to make trouble, especially members of the 100, get out! The emphatic nature of his speech manages to inspire many of the other students. However, any joy Jeff derives from his first day of school doesn't last long, as that night he receives a phone call. He rushes to the school to find Earl's dead body pinned up against a trophy case. As the underfunded police department drag their feet investigating Earl's death, Jefferson takes matters into his own hands. He goes out clad in a hoodie and begins beating up thugs and breaking up crimes. He tries to turn up information on Earl's killers, and every time he hits the members of the 100, he leaves a lightning bolt insignia graffitied on a wall. His actions have attracted the attention of the press, who dub him the Lightning Vigilante. That's not all, as Pierce's educational reform has also gotten media attention. Daily Planet reporter Clark Kent is sent out for an interview, though the conversation just turns to the Lightning Vigilante. Pierce points out that Superman may protect Metropolis, but he hasn't shown his face around the suicide slum much. Clark tries to point out that he's heard from a source that Superman feels really uneasy flying through the area, but Pierce just doesn't seem to buy that as an excuse.
And now you know why Black Lightning had to crash Superman's funeral.
Batman, what's up, man? It's me.
Meanwhile, Tobias Whale has a message for his underlings. Pierce and Garfield hire to be left alone. The higher-ups in the 100 want more information on Jefferson Pierce, and they have the perfect source of information. Frank Tanner is told to reconnect with his ex-family. Turning their attention to the Lightning Vigilante, they set up an ambush at his next target. Jeff's powers begin to fluctuate as he dodges gunfire and leaps out a window. He's bleeding, so he does his best not to leave tracks while trying to make his way home. Lynn patches up Jeff's wounds and the family sits down to dinner. Jeff tries to explain, but the family is already aware that he's the Lightning Vigilante, as his costume isn't very convincing. To that end, Peter has made a new costume with a wig, a mask, and a belt to focus Jeff's power. The Lightning Vigilante is no more. Now there is Black Lightning.
This is actually pretty close to the original Black Lightning comic books. I mean, there's a few tweaks here and there, usually to reflect modern technology, but things like Peter Gamby making the Black Lightning outfit, including the mask with the afro attachment. I mean, the only difference there is, again, the belt is meant to amplify Jefferson's powers rather than actually, give Jefferson his powers. But still, it's pretty close. And Tobias Whale was a recurring Black Lightning villain throughout that series. So, again, it's pretty darn close. I mean, there isn't that much jive talking going on, but I guess I can live with that.
Black Lightning continues going after Tobias Whale's minions, this time a strip joint trafficker named Joey Toledo, who it turns out is the person who killed Earl. Unbeknownst to Jeff, someone is watching him from the shadows. Confident that Earl's killer has been brought to justice, Jeff returns to Peter to get a tune-up on his power belt. It's then that a police report comes over the radio. Toledo is dead from an apparent electrocution. Police Lieutenant Bill Henderson is assigned to investigate everything. However, Jeff has the man on the inside, Frank, who apparently actually has turned over a new leaf in an attempt to reconcile with his family. He's even working as a double agent for Jeff.
Frank is not working an angle here, as it appears to be mostly true. I mean, it was even mentioned that Frank basically confessed to Jefferson that he was sent to spy on him, and Frank brought up that he has contacted Connie in Chicago and apologized. So yes, things are actually looking up here.
Black Lightning makes another appearance protecting students at a school dance. Afterwards, Lieutenant Henderson approaches him. The lieutenant is alone, so this isn't an arrest. In fact, Henderson is well aware that Lightning didn't kill Joey Toledo. In fact, it was a dirty cop, but Henderson has to keep it on the down low for his own safety. The two make plans to begin cleaning up the police department and hopefully get some more funds from the main hub in Metropolis. That being said, the 100 isn't done yet, as just after Christmas, a local judge comes out to report that Lynn Stewart Pierce, who is a public defender, bribed him to give lenient sentencing to young criminals. Clark Kent and Lois Lane show up to get the right side of the story, which is that everyone at Lynn's office was actually on Tobias Whale's payroll and she was trying to play whistleblower. It's then that Jeff gets a call from Judge Sherman, the judge in question. He's willing to make a deal, but only if Black Lightning will meet him at a certain point. Clark, not so subtly, overhears the conversation and prepares to help. However, as Black Lightning arrives for the meeting, someone else steps out of the shadows to help him. Her name is Talia Head, and she represents an organization that has a long-standing problem with the 100.
Yes, this is in fact Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, the founder of the League of Assassins. The name Head is a cover that's actually a reference to her father's translated name, the Demon's Head. Though Talia usually pops up in Batman comics, as Ra's wants the two to hook up so that he can name Batman his heir, she has occasionally popped up in Metropolis as well, like the time she took over Lex Luthor's company while he was President of the United States.
Hearing the name Assassins turns Lightning right off to any partnership, and he leaps off to meet with Sherman. The judge arrives and rips off his skin to reveal a large, thin, old-looking individual. Black Lightning charges up a shot and the commotion attracts Superman. However, the Man of Steel is still somehow prevented from lending a hand. Soon, several underlings appear from out of nowhere and surround Jeff long enough for the mysterious creature to gain the upper hand. The creature wants Jefferson Pierce to experience a lot of pain for some reason and lets slip a secret about Peter Gamby before leaving. Superman stays behind to talk to the police while Jeff goes to confront Peter about the killing of Alvin Pierce.
Yes, Peter Gamby did kill Alvin Pierce in the sense that he betrayed Alvin and set him up to be killed by Tobias Whale. And this is actually another storyline from the original Black Lightning comics.
Peter tries to explain that Alvin knew he was being set up and that Peter wouldn't do it unless given no other option. It's not really enough for Jeff, who leaves and tells Peter to stay away from him forever. Black Lightning goes on to storm Tobias Whale's office for information on the leader of 100. Meanwhile, Peter receives a tip that Jefferson Pierce's family might be in great danger, so he grabs a gun and charges off to go help them. As Peter leaves, Talia follows him from the shadows. Tobias Whale gets away, but Frank manages to approach Jeff and tell him what's going down at the Pierce residence. As members of the 100 begin surrounding the house, Peter pulls out a shotgun while Leona, Lynn, and Anissa take refuge inside. In the background, Talia manages to take out a few of the thugs by slitting their throats. Unfortunately, the numbers game catches up and Peter is shot to death in front of the house. Jefferson arrives at the house as Peter is dying and he asks for forgiveness, which Jeff grants. Lightning spots Talia leaving the scene as Lieutenant Henderson takes Lynn, Anissa, and Leona into protective custody. Lightning takes off in pursuit, and Talia explains that Peter's brother had been in the employ of the League of Assassins and they've known about Jefferson Pierce for some time. She then goes into the history of the 100.
The 100 are an Illuminati group of Renaissance scientists who sought out the secrets to eternal life by tapping into various mystic forces which ran afoul of the Christian Church. They would achieve eternal life, just not youth. Now, the leader of this little faction, or, well, one of the higher-ups of the 100 to be more precise, the creature that we're seeing is named Swan. And he, like the other higher-ups of the 100, lives on by transferring his life energy into another body. The stronger the body, the longer the life. So if he were to transfer himself into, say, a lightning-powered individual who could create electricity, he might be able to live a while and do some damage.
At Peter's funeral, Lynn gets into a heated argument with Jeff. She's just found out she's pregnant and she doesn't want to stay in the suicide slum anymore. This is all just a ruse, but it's necessary to get the others to safety. Still, the 100, Swan in particular, are pleased with this and will increase the stress on Jefferson and want Frank to keep an eye on him until the time is right. Over the next few weeks, Jeff tries to lay low and prepare Garfield High School for an upcoming track meet. That is until a thug in 100 gear makes a lewd comment about Anissa, and Jeff is halted from a beatdown by none other than Black Lightning. In reality, this is just Frank in disguise, as he and Jeff are working together to make sure the 100 don't associate the idea that Jefferson Pierce and Black Lightning are in fact the same individual. Unbeknownst to the two, Lieutenant Henderson has been watching both of them from the shadows. Frank still delivers his reports to Swan, who's upset about everything. His body is starting to wear out, so the time for the transfer must take place soon. This leads Tobias Whale to begin having thoughts of his own. The 100 tries a legal tactic by claiming that Whale owns the land that Garfield High is built on. Needing legal advice, Jeff gives Lynn a call and she promises to look into things. She also gives him an update on Anissa, who's struggling at school and it's manifesting in some unique ways.
Yes, I haven't forgotten that Anissa Pierce goes on to become a superhero in her own right named Thunder, and we touched on her when I discussed the first volume of the relaunched Outsiders team. Coincidentally, Anissa's younger sister, Jennifer, also becomes a hero known as Lightning.
Frank gets a message to Jeff about the 100 planning an attack on the upcoming track meet, hopefully not by getting the competitors hooked on cigarettes, because there are 3 heroes who can easily take care of that. Added to that, the next day as the meet begins, Whale slips Jeff a photograph of a beaten and bound Frank. Black Lightning leaves the race to go rescue Frank, but is stopped by Superman. He knows about the attack the 100 is planning, but it's magic-based, so Superman can't really help. However, the Man of Steel can go rescue Frank, while Lightning goes to take care of the 100.
Yes, kryptonite might be Superman's most well-known weakness, but it's not his only one. He's actually proven to be quite susceptible to magic. This is why magic-based villains like Mr. Mix's Pinnacle have vexed the Man of Steel from time to time.
Swan puts his plan into motion by using his abilities to cause a mass hallucination. The police begin seeing the officials and fans at the track meet turning into demons and other criminals. This even begins to affect Henderson, who sees Black Lightning as a monster. Somehow, Jeff is able to reach through to the detective and break Swan's control on him. The 100 then begins going after the competitors at the track meet, and Black Lightning is forced to intercede and take a bullet in the gut in the process. Feeling that Jefferson Pierce is in enough pain, Swan begins to initiate the transfer ritual. However, the athletes involved begin blocking the path, allowing Black Lightning to escape and get to an ambulance. Swan's power has been drained enough so that Superman can safely arrive with Frank. Lightning then blasts Swan, causing the creature to mysteriously crumble into a pile of dust. In the days following the event, Jeff arranges for Frank to head off to Chicago after he's discharged from the hospital. Black Lightning is proclaimed the hero of the South Side, and he begins initiating a social cleanup program. He works with Lieutenant Henderson for a new police precinct to be built and rolls out a meet and greet with the citizens of the city. He also begins calling on all citizens to intervene on the 100's activities so they stop getting away with everything. This all culminates in a block party being held on Juneteenth. However, Swan isn't really dead yet and has initiated his final gambit. During the block party, Greer and several others all produce guns out of nowhere and hold them to their heads. They don't want to, but they are no longer in control of their bodies. The only way to prevent their deaths is for Black Lightning to appear at the abandoned arena. Thinking on his feet, Jeff initiates a plan by asking the crowd to try to call Black Lightning. While this happens, he proceeds to pull the individuals to safety. He reveals his identity of Black Lightning and manages to shock the kids out of Swan's control. The kids elect to keep the secret as Black Lightning rushes off to the arena. Once inside, Lightning witnesses Swan transfer some of his power to Tobias Whale in order to soften Lightning up. It works just enough for Swan to initiate the transfer ritual. However, Jefferson Pierce won't go down without a fight and blasts Swan. Tobias then interferes and begins performing the ritual on Swan. Tobias Whale begins transforming into a large, hulking white version of himself. Unfortunately for him, Whale didn't transfer any of Swan's magic, so he's not as powerful, as Black Lightning manages to drop him with a blast. Later, Whale tries to escape again, but another blast drops him.
This provides our last connection to the original Black Lightning comics, as Tobias Whale's appearance now mirrors the appearance he had in those original stories. This also concludes our look at Black Lightning Year 1. How was it? Well, I did like the narrative structure of the story, with each of the issues being told by a separate individual. We start with Lynn Pierce, we then move on to Superman, Peter Gamby, Lieutenant Henderson, and then finally Jefferson Pierce himself. And the artwork is pretty well done for the most part, and I really like the coloring in particular. And the pacing is okay at most points. I mean, it's an easy read. It's not too bogged down except for one point, which I'll get to. And you can see how this basically provided the template for the current Black Lightning series that airs on the CW. Like I said, if I do have a real drawback, unfortunately, it's that the villains themselves, they get a little too bogged down in minutia. I mean, Tobias Whale is kind of enough of a villain unto himself. Like, involving the 100 to the extent that they do and doing this whole convoluted backstory just really bogs things down. And to be honest, I couldn't understand what exactly the deal was with the 100. I really had to read through this, and I tried to conclude to my best opinion that I could. It was like it just got way too bogged down in its own minutia to try to get through anything like that. Like, I would have just had Tobias Whale get turned by a higher up in the 100 at the end of the story to provide more power. Just do something like that and then hint at maybe a Black Lightning Year 2. I mean, it would have, I don't know if it ever came, because unfortunately this is really the only story we ever got with that, but still, again, maybe hint at a possible sequel and it could have worked out more. Still, this is a very solid read and it's really enjoyable. I'm going to give Black Lightning Year 1 a B. And with that, let's see what we'll be doing next time on the Random Trade Review.
Remember, you can help support my channel at patreon.com/sleepytimeforcatproductions. There, you can request a trade to be put in the randomizer, aka the cardboard box. Also, remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.